Hello, hello, everyone. Welcome to Encounter Tuesday. So excited to be with you. And today I have our team with us. I have Bethany and Connie, and we're so excited to be with you. Susan's actually already on vacation, so she is headed out, and we are here to bring you an amazing encounter today. In fact, today's encounter is really going to be something that's going to help us take encounter into a place where we can see the simplicity of it, where, so many times we just overcomplicate the process of engaging with the Lord, engaging with the Trinity, engaging with the heavenly realm. We maybe feel like we have to bring a scripture or have a state of mind that will enter us into this place. And I love that really Jesus never expected any of this from us. He didn't expect us to be scholars, to even understand him and at all, to understand ourselves. In fact, he loves the questions, he loves the curiosity. And so today we are going to talk a little bit about that. So Connie's going to get us started off. She's got a great scripture and she's going to just take us in.
Okay, so in Matthew 19, the second half of verse 13 is where I'm going to start. It said, "But the disciples scolded those who brought the children, saying, 'Don't bother him with this now.' Jesus overheard them and said, 'I want little children to come to me, so never interfere with them when they want to come. For heaven's kingdom realm is composed of beloved ones like these. Listen to this truth. No one will enter the kingdom realm of heaven unless he becomes like one of these.'"
Yeah. And so, what Jesus is modeling here for us is, the disciples were trying to protect Jesus from the children. In this time, children were insignificant. They were obviously to not be seen or heard. They were around, but there was nothing of value in children. Yes, children were our legacy. Our children are our legacy, but with a rabbi or with a scholar or in a temple setting, children did not have value. And so the disciples thought they were doing the right thing by keeping the children, away from Jesus. And Jesus said, "Wait, you guys got it all wrong. They are the ones. Like, this is what I want you to see, is that I want you to be like these children." Now, he didn't want you to be children, but what he was showing them is he wanted you to see that the original intention of the relationship between God and human was to be that of authenticity, to be that of realness, to be that of just coming and having expectation that your God was going to meet the needs that you had, that you didn't have to come prepared. You didn't have to come ready to give anything, that you were coming to receive, because that's what children do. They come to receive.
Yeah, when my kids are going somewhere, they get up and they just show up. They don't bring anything, and they have an expectation that whatever need that they're going to have wherever we're going is going to be met by me or by somebody else. They just show up and they expect that to happen. And I think that's how we're supposed to approach encounter, stepping into that, just coming as we are. We didn't have to bring anything. We didn't have to prepare anything. We didn't have to get all these things in a row so that everything just functions beautifully as it's supposed to. No, we just get to show up.
Yeah. That's so good. And, as you were talking, I was thinking, that's why we're called the children of God, not the adults of God. There's a reason that we are his children, not his adults. Because the attitude and posture of children is often way more, they don't complicate things, right? Things are very simple to them. They're trusting. They know that the person in their life who is their parent or, their guardian or whatever will take care of them. Like they just automatically believe, like, you're going to take care of me. I'm always going to be connected to you. I don't have to worry that you're going to leave, right? And so that's such an incredible aspect of children that I think a lot of us adults forget. Like, we get trained out of that, right? By society, by the world telling us things, even by our family, like expectations and things like that. And so returning to simplicity unlocks so much for us. And in a world where things aren't simple often, and especially, in the past couple of years, things have gotten more complicated and more busy and more, stressful. I think there's such an invitation for us to go back to original intent of being like a child and really allowing the Lord to work with us, work on our behalf, and we get to be children and learn the power. Because I think there's so much power in that. We forget that in that simplicity, in that trusting is so much, was everything. And, we just believe and get trained into thinking the opposite, that that's not where it's at, So.
Well, and think about when he's teaching us something or showing us something new. If we approach it as a child, we're excited to learn. We want to, it's almost like we're in a state of awe and wonder more if we approach things as children rather than, my adult brain. When somebody's telling me something, I always compare it against what I already know. Or if I've heard something before, or I try to, think about things that way. But a child, you show a child a magic trick and all the secrets for it, right? But that child has no idea where that comes from. And they are just in awe and wonder watching things unfold in front of them. And they didn't have to, they just get to enjoy it. And so I think if we approach, especially when he's teaching us or showing us something new about him, we can remain in that place of curiosity. It's okay to be curious. It's okay to ask questions. It's okay to be there because that's exactly where he wants us to be.
Yeah. And it's actually like asking questions and curiosity is actually like, it's not just okay. It's like where everything starts, right? It's celebrated. It's desired by him. Like, he really wants us to be curious. He really wants us to ask questions. He really wants us to show up and be like, oh my goodness, that, that like, well, what does this do? Well, what does that do? Like what, and just that first time experience, or that coming with no expectation, because then that really allows him to expand our mind, to expand our reality, because we're not coming already in our adult brain of like, well, I'm going to compare things here and make things make sense and make it figure itself out and, all of that. And yeah, I think that's such a key, the awe and wonder part of children and how they approach everything in life with so much curiosity.
Yeah. And I think that in that place of awe and wonder, where we allow ourselves to imagine, where we allow ourselves to co-create, where we allow ourselves to be expanded instead of having to grasp a hold of it and know it, but we allow ourselves to be in this place of awe and wonder. And that place of wonder really begins to unlock the keys of the kingdom. It unlocks revelation, because we're not looking for like something to verify it. You know what I mean? I'm not looking for how did this get to be, or who says this. I am in this place where I'm allowing the creator of the universe, who also created us, to begin to open and unlock the treasure that's within each of us. And that's the most beautiful part, I think, personally, of Encounter, is that wonder piece. Because, when we're in awe, it opens wonder. It's the awe that opens it first, because it's got my attention. All has to get, like, the awe piece has to get our attention before we're like, ooh, wow, that's the wonder. And there was a scripture I was reading before we got on. It's Colossians 1, verse 26. Yes. There is a divine mystery, a secret surprise that has been concealed from the world for generations, but now it's being revealed, unfolded, and manifested for every holy believer to experience. Living within you is the Christ who floods you with the expectation of glory. This mystery of Christ embedded within you becomes a heavenly treasure chest of hope filled with the riches of glory for his people, and God wants everyone to know it. And that's that. I mean, I think of like, so my husband loves to fish, and we have a really good friend who has a granddaughter, and she was about 5 years old. And so Jimmy has a dock. Jimmy's my husband. And so they took our friend's granddaughter to the dock. And one day they had asked her, "What do you think that there's treasure in there? Do you think there's like pirates left treasure in the lake?" She's like, "Yeah, I bet there's like gold coins and Reese's and all these different things." So the next day, her papa goes and gets all that stuff, puts it in a bucket, and they come fishing, and they put it in the lake. And so they're fishing, and all of a sudden Jimmy's like, "Oh, you got something." And so she pulls up, it's really heavy. So she's like trying to get it up. So they're having to help her. And it's this bucket of treasure. That's the kind of childlike faith, the awe and the wonder that the Lord wants us to be with. Like we trust him. We trust him, and we go with it, and we allow him to unlock the treasures within us, and for us to get to be partners with him to unlock treasure in other people. I mean, that's really what's so awesome about what we get to do, what we all get to do whenever we're together with our an encounter is one of those things that helps us step into this place where we can begin to see it in ourselves.
Mhm.
Yeah, that simplistic place of entering encounter just from simplicity is where the impossible becomes possible.
Yeah.
Like such a beautiful, it's like a gift. And it's one that just keeps on giving and never ends. And there's always a different layer to it. And that brings so much hope when the impossible starts to turn possible, and you can see it. It's not just an encounter, right? Things come out and they're tangible in our life, and we can see what happens in our life because of the time that we spent in encounter and the impossible things that we dared to dream about while we were in encounter.
Yeah. Yeah. It's so good. And like our brain, like Shauna said before we got on, our brain, what we're thinking of, it doesn't know the difference between that and like what we're doing. It thinks that where we're at in our brain is what's happening physically. And so that's part of manifesting, like Jesus talking about, what's inside comes out and, creates the world around you. And so if we're engaging with him all the time and we're in that heavenly realm, you can be bilocational, be in that realm and be physically present at the same time. But if you train your brain that way, it doesn't know that you're not physically in heaven, but heaven will start manifesting around you because that's where your brain is, and your brain thinks that that's reality, right? And what you focus on, you attract more of into your life. We all know that. Like we're driving down the road and we are like, I don't want to hit that. I don't want to hit that. And we focus on that thing. You're probably going to hit that, right? We've got to focus on what we, as we focus on what we want and we like engage with that, it happens in our life. Like we start seeing it manifest. And that's so cool.
It is. So what if we just stepped in and let the Lord just take us to these places, open our insight, open the sight within, and allow us to see an aspect of him that's new, that we've never seen before, or elevate something that we think that we know about him, allowing us to have an expansion of belief, an expansion of wonder. And so all we need to do, it's super simple. We just come to him. We turn our affection, we turn our a gaze, we turn our attention towards the one we love. And we expect him to be there because he is.
I see Jesus, like I'm turning my awareness and attention to him right now in this moment. And like we were talking about, it's that simple, just what you becoming aware of him and where he's at and where the Trinity's at, and connecting with whichever one of them that you connect the best with, whether it's Holy Spirit or Father or Jesus. But I connect with Jesus the most, and so or the quickest. And I just see him like he's like, not only do is being childlike how you access all that I have for you, but I am childlike with you. Like I enjoy it so much as well. And he's playful Jesus, happy Jesus, childlike Jesus. And it's like he's modeling for us, for some of us who maybe have never allowed ourselves to see the value of that. He's modeling it to us right now. He's being that for us until we can fully step into that truth and experience it and allow it to be who we are and how we operate. He's so good to do that, to model things for us in times that we're not sure, what that looks like, what it is. So I see him modeling it for us and inviting us into that space to experience what it's like.
I can just see him entertaining the impossible piece of it. And I had the quote brought to mind from Alice in Wonderland that said, "Sometimes I imagine 10 impossible things before breakfast." And it's like Jesus is asking, what are the impossible things on your mind? And at the same time, he's doing silly things, right? Like 10 pink elephants, tightrope walking across an expansion, and just to bring out that fun nature, but he wants to know what we're thinking. He wants to know what we're feeling. He wants to know what feels impossible. Wants us to lean into what can actually be a possibility with him. What can actually be tangible in our life. And it's fun. Encounter is so fun. Step into that impossible piece of what feels impossible.
Yeah.
Not even the heavy things, right? Not just that, but the dreams, the big dreams. He's like inviting you to verbalize those out loud. Talking about those things that are the deep desires and passions of our heart. Bringing those forward and voicing those so he can partner with us in that.
Yeah.
Just one of the things that we've learned to do, those of us that practice encounter a lot, is to not second guess what's coming up. Don't second guess what you see. Just go with it. Allowing your whole being to partner with what the Lord is wanting to do. Sometimes we can see things or hear things that we want to question. But instead of questioning, is this you, Lord? Maybe you could question and say, what are you trying to show me here, Lord? So that you're partnering with what you are sensing, feeling, seeing in a way that opens up instead of shuts down.
Mhm.
Trusting that in this place there's safety. In this place you're covered. This is a wonderland that's safe to run around it. It's safe to explore. And just allowing your heart to feel that.
And there's a reason that this this is part of the reason. I feel like he's telling us this, that this is part of the reason that I tell you that joy is your strength. And part of that joy is the childlike awe and wonder that produces joy, that manifests joy, our imagination, the, some things that feel silly or like a waste of time, which is engaging our imagination for a lot of us, having fun, all those, what feels lighthearted does so much for us in the background, in our subconscious, we're just having fun, right? We're being childlike, we're letting it be simple, we're not questioning things. And so much is happening for us in that moment that we're not even aware of. It's like he's having fun with us and working things out for us on our behalf behind the scenes. And for some of us, we're like, well, can it actually be that simple, Lord? Like, feels like I'm doing nothing, but I feel like I should be doing something. And he's like, you are. You're spending time with me. You're letting me expand you, who you are, your imagination, your ability to engage with me. This is all happening while you're just enjoying and engaging what feels like impossible. And letting me expand your awareness of who I am and who you are in me and what we get to do together.
I can just see him expanding creativity in each one of us. Some of us have a really hard time with creativity, and some of us haven't ever been allowed to be creative or to maybe even make a little bit of a mess. I keep seeing like finger painting or, something that just makes a mess. Some of us were never allowed to do that. And I can just see him. It's almost like stepping into a white room with white canvases, with white tablecloths. And there's this bright, colorful paint everywhere. And he's just inviting you to stick your fingers in that paint and see what happens. He wants to expand our creativity, expand our ability to step into something, not just with him, but with ourselves.
As you said that, Connie, I could see, I used to run races a lot, and there was a race where you would wear all white, and then you would run and they would, it was like, I guess it was baking soda or whatever that was colored, and they would just like throw it in the air. And so, like, by the time you got done with your race, you had all these different colors on you. But what's interesting about that is, like, when you throw it, it doesn't fall down. It just goes, it expands, it just opens up. And that's what I was seeing. I was seeing just all these things just opening up, like splats of color, and how it splats, it just expands. And even like another vision I had was like where we had paint and we were just throwing it at white walls to create. And it's the action of the expansion, even just seeing that in your body, just watching things expand, and watch how he fills it full of, like, it was already there, but he's expanding it and allowing it to reproduce within you. Creativity, vision.
He's saying, don't worry about the mess.
Yeah.
There's a level of freedom in just not caring about the mess. There's another level of freedom that he's inviting. I feel like he's inviting us into of, hey, have fun with the mess, embrace it. Like, there's nothing, the mess is beautiful. The mess has purpose. You know, the mess that you're making in this room with colors on white is good. It's good. And there's nothing wrong with it. And the mess is part of the process, and you get to just enjoy it. It's just as enjoyable as what you're making.
I hear the mess is a masterpiece.
Mm-hmm.
It's not what you think it is. The way that we see things is not always the way that they truly are. Even if you feel like your life is in a mess, your finances are in a mess, anything that you feel like when you look at it, it's a mess, ask the Lord for a higher perspective.
I feel like he's taking this place we're in with him right now of creating and allowing it to be a mess. And he's presenting situations in our life, in our each of our lives right now, where he's like, you know, you think this is a mess, right? You think this is a mess. See how I showed you that the mess is actually a masterpiece, and you know, it's working for your good, and it's a masterpiece. It's like this, you know, this art, this place where you're at with creativity with me right now. That's what's happening in every single area of your life that you think is a mess right now, that looks like one. It may look like a mess, but it's a masterpiece. It's good. It may feel like it's out of control, but it's not. Nothing ever gets out of my control. And you and I are one, and we co-labor and we co-partner together. And I love taking what you think is impossible in the mess and showing you how I'm actually working all of that color, all of that paint together for you and with you.
safety. I feel like the Lord is lifting off limited vision off of people where they've maybe had those blinders on, where they weren't able to see fully what was in front of them, what's below, above. And He's giving you the ability to see things the way that they are. You get to choose, though. So He's giving you the ability to see that you've been wearing blinders or different colored glasses, and allowing you to take those off so that you can have full vision of what's in front of you, partnering with His mind, His creativity, yours and His, allowing wisdom to mix into the situation so you can see what really is right there.
I feel like to go along with that, Shanna, He's also heightening our focus so that we can drown out the noise that's around us from people who are nothing but bystanders in our life. They don't have a place in the creation that's happening. They just have a voice. And so those voices are fading away, and that focus is coming very clear. You can see the prize at the end. You can see the result of the process that you're walking through and going through. It's bringing hope. It's bringing beauty. It's bringing joy. It's like you're getting a glimpse at what the end looks like and all the benefits that come with it.
And I see a confidence coming on people as they apprehend this hope, as they apprehend this focus, begin to see and hear the right things, see the truth, hear the truth.
Mhm.
Let your shoulders, move back, your head position more up. Walk with a knowing that you're not alone. This isn't your battle, that you haven't been forgotten, that you have an entourage, a heavenly entourage. You can see it, you can experience it. There's a awareness that you live in two different dimensions. You pull from one to release into the other.
And as you do that, the two dimensions become one, where heaven becomes one with earth, and you can't tell which is which anymore. It's like us becoming one with Him. We don't know where He begins and where we end, because we're so entangled with Him. And it's like the end of this awareness is the two becoming one in you and through you and around you. And you become an invitation for other people to experience the same thing.
Yeah.
I can just see the confidence being put on like a jacket. when you start to recognize and shift your awareness to one impossible thing that you start to go after, it's almost like you're a little bit behind Jesus, you're a little bit behind the entourage, you're a little bit behind, just kind of watching it happen. And as your faith builds and your faith grows, you begin to lead the charge. And once you begin to lead the charge, you're confident that that entourage and the partnership of the Trinity is right there with you.
Yeah.
Because we were born to create. We weren't born to just follow, but we were born to lead and to create. So as you step into that confidence, those impossible things get bigger and bigger and bigger.
Really good. Like as you step into that knowing, you step into that confidence. If you were to look behind you, you would see all the things that you've shed that tried to determine who you were, tried to tell you what you were, who you were, what you were to do. It kind of kept you bound. Could be things that you even consider insignificant, but you've carried them. Some of them are really big, heavy things. The more you get into this place of confidently knowing who you are, what you carry, who you're with, the power that you are a part of, the ability to create, then those other things have nothing to hold on to.
It's really good.
And as Connie said, that Alice in Wonderland, sometimes I imagine 10 impossible things before breakfast. It's like Jesus is inviting us to start doing that every day, a couple times a week. We sit with him and we imagine 10 impossible things. Could be more, could be less. Just engaging that imagination that he gave us to imagine the most impossible things we can think of and sit in that wonder and awe and let that transform us into who we were meant to be as creative people.
It's so good. Stay in this place as long as you want to, engaging with heaven, watching the creativity unravel within you, begin to discuss it and discover it and, play with it with the Lord. And maybe some of you may even want to activate it a little bit, get you some paint, get you some markers, begin to create, begin to be creative, and allow that to begin to flow out of you. We all are creative. There are not some people that are creative. Every one of us are creative because we were created to co-create. We cannot not be creative. So just allowing yourself to be in this place of wonder with him And just, I can't wait to hear the amazing things that the Lord reveals to each of us. It's going to be awesome. Thank you guys for being with us today. And thank you, Bethany and Connie, for leading the encounter. You guys are amazing. Love you so much. And you will get to see them for the next couple of weeks. They will be leading the encounters for a couple of weeks while Susan and I are on vacation. So we'll see you guys next week. Bye-bye.